Hello guys, today I want to share with you the biggest lesson I learned from what I have been using Obsidian for over a year. So this is when I first used the Zettel method. I didn't choose Obsidian first, I chose logset. So first let me show you how does my graph looks like in 1 month using the Zettel method. There's just about 300 pages over there, and after a year, graph looks like this. Pretty amazing, and that's almost 2,000 pages in my knowledge management system. Okay, let's dive right in. The lesson states that atomicity is good, but don't forget literature, aka the context. So let me show you a couple examples to demonstrate my statement. Before that, I throw a question for you. Can you find what you need from this graph? Like mine has over 2,000 pages, and maybe yours, there are 10K or 100K. The key point is there's lots of pages and there are lots of ideas we documented. How would you find it? That's the early stage of me when I was using logset. I was reading the book Effective Modern C++ by Scott Mayer. And as you can see, I just checked the progress, what I have learned. So when I finished the item 7, I hit the check mark and that's it. And I didn't document any knowledge into this page belonging to Effective Modern C++. Instead, I document the terminology and knowledge I learned inside the system and to follow the idea of the atomicity. And a while ago, I think that didn't really help. So I document like this. When I learned the linear algebra from Stanford, and as you can see, there's a little bit context jump right in. Let's say the lecture 1 mainly about vector, so I say vector in lecture 1. But there's way beyond that, and I didn't document what I learned, all of them, into this page. So what's the problem here? At this early stage, I trace what I first grasped the idea of atomicity, which might be kind of wrong. So here's an example. I bet you have the same scenario and situation before. And let's say you try to recall some terminology and you didn't recall the exact name, and you can even type it. For example, I have a terminology and the keyword related to C++, but I can't recall what exactly is. And the search function, it won't help either, because the main point is that you can't fully remember the character of the terminology you want to search. So I think this kind of situation and scenario you have experienced. So what would you do? For me, I can't recall the exact terminology I learned, but I remember that terminology related to some kind of experience when I'm reading the book. So I just grasp my book and go to some pages and I found this terminology. At this point, you may wonder, why should I use this kind of knowledge-based management system like logset and Obsidian? Why don't I just use the book to look through what I have learned, right? Now back to the question I asked in the beginning. Can't you find what you need from here? From my point of view, this kind of graph maybe it's a little bit useless for me to find what I have learned and what I need from merely on this graph. But actually, there is a key idea behind this. I have to cite what Barbara Oakley said. So in our brain, there is some kind of connection and neurons connecting these dots. Maybe during the learning and during some process, you forget the exact thing, what you need to find and what you need to recall. But you remember the experience you have. Taking what I just showed as an example, some terminologies you may learn and study, or some subject, I would say, during your business, during your practice, the exact name you can remember, or the thing you explicitly specify you can remember, but you can remember something related to it, and that's the context. So the same idea you can apply to using Obsidian or Logset. You can't take everything into atoms, into ideas, just spread over all the knowledge-based system and leave it as the orphan. You have to connect them. For me, as a software engineer, when I was learning something, reading books and watching video, these kind of things are called literature. So that's kind of experience. So when I learn something new, I have to connect what I have learned and what the materials I'm using, connecting them together. So that's the context. Having this context is kind of helpful. After I realized I made a big mistake taking notes, I refactored my way, documenting what I have learned, C++, although I can't remember what exactly the terminology I look for, and I can just scroll down what I need and search that kind of word. Oh, the word I look for is called cons expert. So inside this page, I document more context related to the cons expert, not just what cons expert is. So hey, I found cons expert. So I can click here, go back to what I have learned and what cons expert is. So there are fun fact, expert advice, and cheat sheet and example like cons expert initialization and cons expert class interface. I can't remember what exactly is, but with the help of the literature, I found what I need. It's called cons expert. Now let's wrap up the lesson I have learned. Definition: Zettel is atomic. Literature is about connecting the dots. Zettel is a German word meaning the box in German. So literature, you can think of any materials like reading a book, watching videos. Okay, definition 2. Zettel prevents the duplication of one object. Literature helps you recall what you have done. So in this diagram, you see there's only one Zettel, one box here. Then it maybe relates to two different literature, like 2 different books and 2 different videos. So taking the cons expert as an example, the Zettel custom method helps me to avoid duplication. For example, the book Effective Modern C++ have introduced the concept of cons expert, and the book by Biane, Programming Principle and Practice Using C++, also introduced the concept of cons expert. And other materials also tells you what cons expert is. But the point is that if I document the definitions in separate book like this one and this one, inside our knowledge system, there are duplications, right? So to avoid such duplications, I create this Zettel, this box called cons expert. The terminology I learn, and maybe some business you own, and some subject you want to be the unique of it. And other materials like the book just reference this Zettel, this box. So when I try to find cons expert, the definition, say here, and also how to use it from the example, if I can remember what cons expert is composed, like CONSTEXPR, I can just quickly cons expert and I can go to this Zettel. But if I can't recall the exact characters of cons expert, I can go to what I have learned, like Effective Modern C++ or Programming Principle and Practice using C++. I eventually will find the entrance to cons expert. So that's the distinction between literature and Zettel. Okay, so let's summarize. Definition 1. Zettel, the box, is atomic. Literature is about connecting the dots. Definition 2. Zettel prevents the duplication of one object. Literature helps you recall what you have done